Hello everybody, welcome to our RedRaiders.com postgame show brought to you by University Medical Center. I'm Don Williams from Lubbock Avalanche-Journal alongside of AJ Media sports writer Carlos Silva Jr. coming to you from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, where on Saturday Texas Tech ends a four-game losing streak with a victory against the Baylor Bears. Red Raiders win this one 38-24, Carlos, and despite a little bit of a lackluster sluggish stretch at the end, Tech never really in trouble or in danger of losing this one, didn't seem like.
Well, it's kind of like we mentioned earlier on. I mean, this was a Baylor team that was somewhat inept. There's a reason they're 1-8, and there's a reason that the one win that they have is against Kansas. They struggled to score offensively, struggled on the defensive side, but the one thing that really did help Texas Tech was the fact that Kiki Cutie started off the game with a 92-yard kickoff return. I thought that was a huge energy boost for them, provided that scoring separation, just started them going on offense. Cliff Kingsbury kind of mentioned that really did kind of help them. The one thing that did deter the offense, though, and I know you kind of asked it, and it kind of happened earlier on this year with Desmond Nisby, but Trey King going for a 1-yard, I believe, touchdown, tried to stress the ball out to the end zone, and it hit a helmet, and then that turned into a fumble, which turned into a subsequent Baylor touchback as they got that, and Cliff Kingsbury felt that really hurt the offense.
Yeah, although the defense picked up the Red Raiders today. Correct. Because they were ahead 21-7 in the first half, and there was a stretch there where the defense made a ton of big plays down deep. You had on this end of the field right behind us, Baylor had a 3rd and 2 and missed an exchange on a handoff, and Dakota Allen bounced in there and outfought Charlie Brewer, the quarterback, for it. So Tech took over, denied Baylor a scoring chance right here in the red zone. Then on the other end of the field, Baylor has a 4th and 1 at the Texas Tech 1-yard line. Actually, they had 3rd down inside the 5. Mike Thomas gets penetration, makes a big play, and then on 4th and 1, Broderick Washington puts a swim move on the center, if I remember correctly, and stones Jermichael Hasty. Funny thing about that, Jermichael Hasty, not only was his former high school teammate, they used to play on the same offense.
Blocked for him.
Broderick was a center or offensive. He was an offensive lineman at least. Jermichael Hasty, a running back. So anyhow, he stones him, and then first half ends with Charlie Brewer throwing into the end zone, and Vontae Dorsey intercepting that pass, and so the defense kind of allowed the offense to breathe today, I thought.
And I think the biggest one was kind of at the end. I know there was a cosmetic score by Baylor, but the strip and the 25-yard fumble return, and then fumble forced by Douglas Coleman, who of course had a huge one against Dante Foreman last year against Texas. I thought that was huge just because that gave you that scoring separation. At the time it was 31-17, gives you a 38-17 lead at that point, which is 3 scores compared to 2, because once you get that extra score, obviously anything can happen. And of course, as we mentioned, Baylor's a scrappy team, so they could have kept things within distance. They did, but then Douglas Coleman with that huge play, and I thought that was really the difference there. And they didn't necessarily kind of cement the victory, but I think it was a play that needed to be made earlier on in the season. I think that's something to kind of build on.
Well, and you know why? Because Texas Tech's sitting there with a 31-17 lead. Tech had blown the 35-17 lead at West Virginia. Tech had blown the 35-24 lead against Kansas State last week. So when it's 31-17 early fourth quarter, I get a text from someone saying Baylor has Tech right where they want them, and I had people start tweeting me about, okay, is this where the meltdown happens this week? And sure enough, Texas Tech's offense, early fourth quarter, they lose Trey King with a little bit of an injury, and the offense didn't really do anything there for a couple of series, and the Douglas Coleman strip, fumble, touchdown, as you said, kind of puts it away and makes amends for the offense. You know, thing about the defense today, and I was kind of asking some of the guys after the game, gave up 523 yards, but the defense just made so many big plays.
Absolutely. Not only that, but then you gave the offense just more chances. Like you said, they weren't able to make or capitalize on some of them, but the defense still made the big play, like kind of mentioned before, Douglas Coleman. But I think just to kind of wrap things up is, I know you kind of mentioned Trey King got hurt, but there was another player that didn't play, Justin Stockton, head injury, that played into the decision for Kingsbury not to play him. That was certainly a huge loss for Texas Tech, because then you're going to Desmond Nisby, a guy that maybe you weren't expecting to play today.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Justin Stockton did not play today. Asked Cliff Kingsbury post-game if it was related back to the head injury that he had a couple of weeks ago that kept him out of the game. Cliff Kingsbury said yes, it does stem from that. And then Trey King, again, in more kind of garbage time, fourth quarter. Did not play after, I believe, the first offensive snap of the fourth quarter. He wasn't in for about the last 3 series. But Kingsbury said lower body injury, but he said it was precautionary. Thinks that Trey King will be available next week, and that's going to be very important because, of course, next week the Red Raiders have TCU, and they're still 1 win away from becoming bowl eligible. They either have to beat TCU at home next Saturday or win on the road at Texas on the final night of the regular season.
Of course, that's going to be a big one against TCU at home. Of course, the last time TCU played Texas Tech at home, there was a wild finish to that one. Could be another wild finish here because you got a late game. It's going to be a crazy one at Jones AT&T Stadium, pardon me. I guess, any final thoughts, Don, other than the fact that Texas Tech, I know we kind of mentioned this, and even though they did get the victory, we kind of expected this, but certainly it's always good when you do get a victory when you're expecting to win.
I think we've hit most of the high spots. Might also mention Dylan Cantrell today. Ties a career high, 11 catches for 94 yards.
Yep.
Seemed like Dylan must not have been wearing his deodorant today because the Baylor cornerbacks didn't want to get close to him.
No.
And so Nick Chimadek just said, okay, I'll throw you a 5-yard pass. I'll throw you another 5-yard pass. I'll throw you another 5-yard pass. He does that, and then Texas Tech makes a field goal. Clayton Hatfield with a 39-yard field goal today. At the point that was 21-7, extends the lead to 24-7. That might actually have been the loudest cheer outside of Kiki QT's kickoff return touchdown.
Absolutely, but with the way that the field goal and just special teams is gone, I think it was a good day for Cliff Kingsbury and that staff just to see the 92-yard kickoff return, and then of course Clayton Hatfield kind of getting back to form. I know everyone was wondering, well, did you bring him back too early? Sometimes you miss a field goal. Sometimes it happens. He missed it, made up for it today. They got the victory, and I think that's what's really important is the fact that they can at least take that in, take that confidence into TCU, and hopefully put forth a very good effort at home against a very, very good TCU Horned Frog squad.
Yeah. So again, final score today from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas Tech 38, Baylor 24, Red Raiders 5-5 for the season, 2-5 in the Big 12, and again taking on TCU next Saturday at Jones Stadium, regular season home finale. We'll have coverage of that one, coverage of this one on RedRaiders.com and LubbockOnline.com, and also coverage of Texas Tech TCU coming up throughout the next week at RedRaiders.com and LubbockOnline.com. So that'll do it for this time. For our engineer producer Brad Tollison, for AJ Media sports writer Nicholas Silva.
Carlos Silva. It's okay.
Carlos
Nicholas
Silva,
Talbot. You're so
Jr.
used to seeing Nick here.
I'm
Carlos
used to seeing
Silva.
Nick here.
A little bit taller, Don.
That's right. I'm Don Williams from the Avalanche-Journal. Everybody take care, and we'll talk to you again soon.